Welcome to Campaign 2026. I'm Steve Cosio, and with this, we have a co-host, and she was with us last year, back with us again this year. Karen Marcucci, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Steve. I'm glad to be here.
And there's only one race.
I know, the exciting one.
It's
the one I always look forward to every year.
Place 7 is going to be on your ballot, Place 7 for the school board. And running for the school board is Michele Gooch. Happens to be here in the studio today. Michele, welcome to About Mansfield.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here.
Let's just go ahead and jump into it.
All right.
Okay, first of all, the Reader's Digest edition of who you are and why you're running for school board.
Let me start with, my mother would tell you that I was born telling the doctor what to do. That's her commentary on the fact that I might have had some leadership skills and that she and Dad had to work really hard to rein them in. And so I spent a lot of years learning to lead well. I may have wanted to lead, but I didn't know what that looked like. And so I had parents and then beautiful mentors who helped me learn to lead well. And I owe those people a lot. And now I am in the middle of partnering with leaders. That's what I do for a living. I come alongside leaders, help them navigate critical situations. One of the things most leaders, and probably all of us, need to learn is to listen deeply. So that's something we work on, listening deeply, navigating conflict in a way that's healthy, because conflict is good if you approach it well. And then learning how to make long-term decisions, not just decisions for today. Mm-hmm. So those are all things that I do in my world on a daily basis, and all things that are needed on the board, and feel like those skills can bring value to the school board.
And that's why you're running for school board.
That's why I'm running for school board. It seems like I've been shaped for it. And also
since birth.
Since birth. And I love Mansfield. I love our community. I love everything about what we do here, and want to give back. And of course, love the idea of being in part of excellent education for our students.
Well, Karen and I are going to ping pong our questions to you, and I'm going to yield to Karen and let her ask the first question.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Well, building on that experience that you have, I was hoping that you could give us some more details about what experiences have best prepared you to oversee such a large budget and supervise the superintendent as part of the school board.
Mm-hmm. We obviously do have a new superintendent, and I have spent a couple of decades coming alongside high-level leaders who are in transition. So we are in transition with a new leader, and so I have a couple of decades of work with people in those same settings and know the phases that we need to move through to be successful. And obviously, a board member, part of their role is to support the superintendent and make sure the superintendent is successful. So definitely that is part of what I already do and something that I can bring to the board. What qualifies, the other part of that question you mentioned, Karen, was what qualifies me to be a part of that larger budget, make those decisions. First of all, I recognize that we need to be using expertise. We aren't the smartest people in the room. We don't need to be the smartest people in the room. If we are the smartest people in the room, we need smarter people in the room, right? So first of all, I understand that, and our finance team they're incredible. And so we would want to lean into their expertise, right? And then the rest of that is I understand how to look at data, analyze, think through long-term decisions. And right now, when it comes to budget, that's a whole nother story. I don't know how much time do we have. Yes. But we will have to make some critical decisions, and all those decisions need to run through some very specific qualifications. Like, is this really what's best for our students? our students really benefiting from this? Is this supporting our teachers? Those kind of questions have to be asked on every line item when we start looking at where do we have to rein this in.
A school board position is a 3-year term. And if elected, what do you envision a successful 3-year school board term looks like to you?
A successful term for me looks like, first of all, a board that works as a team, not necessarily a board that's always in agreement, because disagreement is good. We need variety. We need people showing us things we're not seeing. But I think a successful term is teamwork. And I would love to be a part of creating that mindset of us working as a team, not pulling against each other, but pulling together. Mm-hmm. So that would be one thing. The second thing would be, as we just said, a successful superintendent. 3 years in, have we done everything we can do to make sure our superintendent is successful? And then we'll go back to the budget question. 3 years in, have we made very clear, very decisive plans for our finances?
The finances are a concern for me. I've been looking at our enrollment figures, and we've got a lot of changes that have been coming with the legislature, with vouchers being implemented and all of that. So when you look at our enrollment, if it continues to decline, what are some programs or services you would consider consolidating or eliminating?
Well, we first have to think about what the non-negotiables are. It is easy to go in and say, this is the program that cost us the most, so let's make sure we cut this. The problem with that is we don't need to be cutting things that are best for our students. So we may have to look in other places. Now, I'm not prepared to say, here's the line item I would cut because I haven't dug in it enough, but also because it's not my decision alone. It's a team decision, and it's not even, we need feedback from everywhere, so it's not even just the board. We need the superintendent, and the superintendent, if you've talked to her recently, has plans to put together a committee that will review the budget. So we want that feedback from the community, from the educators, from parents, so that we can make wise decisions. Most leaders, when they end up making poor decisions, it's because they didn't get the right information. So on this topic, which is, as you point out, so significant, we need to get all the right information, and that starts with listening.
Well, even when the budget was good, Steve and I have had this conversation too, when Mansfield was growing and all of that. One of the problems we ran into is that people didn't come to us with bad ideas. Everybody had a great idea on where things should be spent, where money should be spent. And that was always so challenging because you could see so many kids benefiting from so many different programs. And then how do you narrow that down? So the grass is never greener on the other side, just so you know.
There's no such thing as a bad idea. You just you cannot implement every idea.
That's right.
Yes.
Michele, what do you consider Mansfield ISD's strengths and weaknesses? We'll start with strengths.
Oh, man, we have so many strengths. Let me see if I can narrow that down some. I think we have a really strong way that we prepare our students for the future. So you'll hear people say a lot, life ready, career ready, college ready, military ready. Mm-hmm. We do a great job with that. The statistics, I can't quote them all exactly, but the statistics from our 2025 graduating class was pretty impressive. First of all, our graduating class percentage is higher than the state. But on top of that, we had, I'm going to say, somewhere close to 30% of our graduates had some kind of certification when they graduated. And then we had about 23 or so percent that had some kind of college credit when they graduated. So we do a really good job of that kind of readiness for our students. So that would be one thing. I think we do a great job of celebrating our students, a great job of celebrating what they're accomplishing, what they're, how they compete across the nation, across the state, but also some of my favorite moments at school board meetings are our little scholars that get chosen every week, to be the school board scholar.
Sure.
I love that. And the way that we celebrate and uplift our students. So that was one part of the question, strengths. The other one was
weaknesses. Yes. Where can we do better?
Couple of places that I know we could do better because I've heard it recently from being out on the campaign trail. One is special education. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people involved in special education that we need more resources there, that the teachers in special education feel like they're drowning and they need more help. So that's an area we can move forward in and find resources for them. Maybe have to be creative and innovative, but we can do that. I'm not sure if this is a weakness, but it's a place I would love for us to put more focus, and that is our youngest learners. The research says that if they are reading on third grade level or above, by the time they get to third grade, then they are set up for academic success across the board. Their success is much more, it's dramatic if they're reading by that level. So I think pre-K, thinking about the early learners and how we're going to support them more. Again, I don't know that it's a weakness, but it's a place I'd love to focus.
One of the things that you've talked about is getting input from different groups and expertise and all of that. But where do you draw the line between parental input and professional educator experience? That has been very challenging, and it's been in the news a lot lately. But what are your personal thoughts on that? So the line between parent input and professional educator expertise.
Karen loves the easy questions, doesn't she? Man.
I throw the softballs. She throws the fastballs.
And this is because I've been in your seat before, and these are the questions that you will get. And there are a lot of things to really think about, and they're very challenging because there's a lot of different ways to look at things and to approach a problem or an opportunity. And so I love to hear how your brain thinks and how you're looking at this stuff, because I think that really makes the difference. Because one of the things, I'll go off on a little tangent that I like to go off on every year, and that is that we elect school board trustees. We don't elect school board representatives. And there's a difference there. So trustees are entrusted to make the best possible decision with the information that they have at the time. They are not put in that role to represent the views of the community. They are there to make good, trusted decisions that will benefit the children of our community. And there is a difference between a representative and a trustee. And so that's why you'll see me get a little bit deep on some of these issues, because we are entrusting the trustees with the future of our children. And that's a really heavy responsibility, but also amazingly awesome to think of all the opportunities that our students will have because of these trustees and that they're entrusted to make such valuable decisions.
We should bring back that interview of what makes a good school board trustee. That was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, it's been a few years, but yeah.
Probably still holds up today. The question was on the table is?
Well, so we're trying to look at the fine line between parental input and educator expertise.
So our teachers, our educators, are they experts in their subject matter and student learning and the environment? They are the experts. They have both the education and the experience. And so we must listen to them. We must respect their expertise. Now, in Mansfield and many schools across the state, we have the option as parents to opt out of things. Parents can fill out forms and opt out of things. So certainly we do not want to take parents' say away. If they want something specific for their child, we want them to be able to ask for that or remove their child from certain things. And we would never change that. And at the same time, we're going to listen to expertise, and then we're going to listen to the parents and see what it is they are experiencing. The difference is that a parent is experiencing it with their 1 or 2, maybe 3 children, but the teacher who's the expert has had 30 children, 10 different years. I mean, their expertise is much wider And we need to make decisions that are going to be impactful to everyone, not just one family. So you're right. It is a tricky, fine line to hold. But I like your distinction between trustees versus representatives.
Have you met your opponent? And if so, what similarities do you have and what differences do you have?
Yes, I have met her. And what similarities we have? Well, we're both committed to the community. We're both pretty, I would call us kind and gracious kind of people. I know that she is well known for being very kind and gracious. So in those ways, we're similar. Hopefully that means this campaign will be a little different than some in the past have been.
We're all hoping that.
Yes.
I think the whole community is hoping that. How are we different? I think that the differences would be in leadership skills for me. The leadership skills I bring are different from her skills. So those would be the ways that I would say we are different.
So have you thought much about how long you hope to serve and what legacy you'll hope to leave if elected to this position? I know you're not in that role yet, so it's a big question to ask. But I am always curious to understand more about how people choose to serve their community. What's the end date? What's the end goal? Is there one? And have you thought about that?
Well, I don't know that I've thought about how long because I'm working on let's get started. But a legacy, you said, what legacy would I like to leave? And for that, whether it's 3 years or more, I would say I want people to be able to look back and go, oh, that was a strategic moment in the history of MISD. And that particular board really moved us through it with excellence. So that kind of legacy is what I'm hoping to leave.
So solid decision making and being able to, look back at that and see that it was a good, solid decision. That makes sense for sure.
If elected, in what ways will you be accessible to the community?
Man, I feel so accessible already, Steve. Yeah. I feel like everybody has my cell phone number, my email address. You can find me. I will be accessible, and you definitely will be able to find contact information, and already can right now find lots of contact information for me. But also I will show up in places and already have had that experience of when you show up, then you have the opportunity to have conversations you might not have had otherwise. So I love being present and showing up consistently. And that makes you much more accessible.
How should the board measure success beyond test scores? That's always such a challenging question because kids are so much more than test scores. So what are your thoughts on that?
I know right now as a district, we're asking the state to revisit all of that because of what you just said. I feel like we need different metrics, and I think we want to look at potential. Like, is this child reaching their potential? So this child over here who I'm thinking of my own son, who thinks differently and operates differently and sometimes is challenging, but has a great deal of potential. Are we getting him there? And so the question of how would you measure that is a great question. I don't have an exact answer for it, but I do believe we have experts who are working on that, and I really want to see us move away from, or at least add to, a different plan that helps us understand where our children really are.
That's always been my hope, is that students will have the ability to see beyond the scores, because I would hate for them to find their self-identity and worth just through their performance on a test.
Exactly.
So I think that that's very important for us to consider.
We have time for 2 more questions.
I have a fun one.
Do you? Okay, hold the fun one.
Okay.
Who are your top donors, and who do you expect to take money from?
Almost anyone who will give it to me. It is shocking how much money it takes to run a campaign. My top donors, let me think for a minute. 2 of them, one of them is a family friend. My sister and I would call him a brother. Okay. So longtime friend of the family. My father's particularly mentored him, so he's just a big supporter. And then another one is a former mentor. I mentioned having beautiful mentors in my life all the way through my career. And one of them is a former mentor who has, and both of these are not in the district.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is one of my sons.
Okay.
So when you said top three, right? Top three
I said
donors?
top three. And then do you anticipate any PAC money coming in? And
I don't anticipate, but if you want to make a public announcement, I will take some PAC money if it's out there. Just bring it my way.
Okay. With the final question, and I think she said it was a fun one.
I loved school so much as a child, and so I love to go revisit memories and all of that. So my question for you is, what is the best field trip you ever took as a student?
Wow, my favorite field trip. The first thing that popped into my head was the zoo. I don't remember what grade I was in, but I just remember loving it. Just that I'm an observer. So I could just stand there and watch the animals, just really fascinated with every little move they made.
So where was the zoo?
So I lived in Corpus Christi.
Oh,
so I grew up
okay.
in Corpus Christi. So the zoo we went to, I think it was the San Antonio Zoo.
Oh,
So, yeah,
That's a field trip.
that's a field trip.
That's a day. That's at least a day.
Oh yeah.
Michele Gooch, if someone wanted more information about you and your campaign, do you have a website? Do you have Facebook? Do you have social media? Do you have a TikTok or a Tinder or whatever? What you got out there?
Well, I don't have all of that, but let's start with the website. You can go to the website, Gooch, Gooch, MISD.com. And also you can find me on Facebook with that same Gooch MISD Facebook. And those are the main two places you can find me. So look for me there.
Gooch, MISD.com or Facebook without the .com. May 2nd is the election. Early voting starts April 20th, runs for the 28th. Michele Gooch, thanks for being here and good luck on May 2nd.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed visiting with y'all.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.